You know what really grinds my gears?
Hello and welcome back to the vlog. Hope you were having a pleasant day. This vlog episode is going to be a little different. This one's going to be kind of a little about a scenario where we're going to go back in time. We're going to change a few things and change the trajectory of somebody's life and career. It's just for fun. A what if scenario if certain events had never taken place and this person had done other things that I think would have maybe made the last part of his career better and more fruitful, and a certain tragic event had never taken place. And the person I'm talking about is Michael Jackson. Lots of head scratching moments in his professional and personal life have taken place. I want to say from around the time the Pepsi commercial took place, where he got burned in 1984, to his passing in 2009, and even some of the decisions made after his passing that the estate has done. A little bit of head scratchers and things that make you think and go back, and you're like, what if he did this instead of this? And there's parts of the past where there were rumors that Michael tried to fight back, but Sony was hesitant and really emphasized doing certain things. Well, this is just for fun. A kind of a look back at what could have been, what should have been, and also you could say what you could have done post death, what they could have done with certain projects like the Michael album and the Escape album, but that's a whole different kettle of fish we'll get into later. I'm just doing strictly, we're going to get back in the DeLorean. We're going to go back in time to 1997, maybe 1996. We'll go 1996, the year before Blood on Dance was released, and we're going to become Michael's manager. We're going to work with Michael. We're going to be exclusively to him. He's going to listen to us. We're going to talk to him. We're going to influence him on changing certain things, and we're going to change the trajectory of his professional career and see how that goes into the 2000s, into the 10s, and in the 2020s, and hopefully the decisions we make would ultimately, some of the private stuff that happened to Michael that became public never took place. Stuff like meeting the Arvizo family, who ended up lying and working with the district attorney in Santa Barbara to make up a trial against Michael, which Michael was accused or was investigated by the FBI, by the police. They found nothing. He went on trial, found not guilty by a jury. There was no evidence against Michael whatsoever. Everything was planted. Everything was fabricated. Turned out the family committed perjury on the stand. It turned out the family was doing shady stuff as far as fraud with welfare. The mother was put on trial after the fact. The original families in 1993, the Chandler family, they were going to be subpoenaed to testify in Michael's trial, and they jumped ship and left the United States to avoid being subpoenaed. And then, of course, after Michael's passing, shortly thereafter, the father, Evan Chandler, who came up with the allegations and was on audio scheming with his attorney, saying he was going to ruin Michael because Michael refused to give him $20 million of a movie project he wanted to do. Michael said no, so that's when the allegations started happening without any shred of evidence. Dead Man Tells No Tales, Evan Chandler offed himself shortly after Michael's death. So a innocent guy with an innocent conscience wouldn't do shit like that. So makes you go, Wade Robison made claims that Michael molested him after the fact of Michael's death. Before that, he went to the trial to testify. Michael didn't do nothing. He's a good guy, blah, blah, blah. But then when Michael died, he wanted to be part of the tribute ceremony for Michael. The estate said no. He wanted to be a part of Cirque du Soleil. They said no. And that's when Wade Robison all of a sudden said, oh, he did touch me. And then the whole Leaving Neverland bullshit and whatever. Same with James Safechuck. He claimed Michael abused him in the late 80s. Said Michael molested him at a certain time period at Neverland Ranch on the infamous train that goes around Neverland, despite the fact that the dates that he says they happened, the molestation accusation, he said it happened on the train at Neverland. It was proven that that train was not even at Neverland at the time of the incident, when in fact the train wasn't even in Neverland until well into the 90s. So, but this trial with Safe Chuck and Robinson is still going on. They got a trial date set for 2028, even though there's tons of evidence suggesting that they're just looking for money. And why is Robinson being allowed to continue with this charade without being charged with perjury? He's basically saying he lied on the witness stand during the 2003-2004 trial, and now he's suing for money after he said nothing happened under oath. So I think with these things I'm going to do, getting in the DeLorean, becoming Michael's manager, changing the trajectory of his career and his life from the late 90s into the 2000s, shit like what's going on now with the accusations after Michael's been dead for almost 2 decades now, and the trial not happening. I think things would be much different now in 2026 with Michael. Michael would probably still be alive and kicking. So these are some of the ideas I came up with that I think Michael could have done if he had the right manager in place, and people not afraid to tell him no or say, instead of this, let's do this. And we're going to start in 1997 with Blood on the Dance Floor. It's going to be the same album, but it's not going to be Blood on the Dance Floor History in the mix. We're getting rid of the 8 remixes. We're fighting against Sony on this one. Originally, Michael wanted an EP. He wanted to do the 5 tracks that are on the album, the first 5 tracks: Blood on the Dance Floor, Morphine, Superfly Sister, Ghost, and Isn't Scary. He wanted to release it as an EP. Sony said, no, we want a remix album. We're going to release it while you're on tour, so you can support that in the tour. It's going to happen. Michael just reluctantly did it, but by this time, the cracks in the armor were showing between the two. Michael just said, fuck it, whatever. Did the remix album reluctantly, and then moved on. In our scenario, the remixes are taken off the album. I like the Scream Louder remix, but I'm not going to have it on this album. So instead of the 8 remixes, we're going to include 7 more unreleased tracks to go with the 5 original. Make it a whole new album. So this is going to be 2 years after the release of History. Michael's on tour. So it'll be the same title track. We're just taking the History in the mix off. You could also do a different title track, which I'll give you the title listings, the track listings here in a little bit. I don't want to spoil it. But same release date as before, 1997, while he's on the History tour. However, there's going to be less dates to the European and Asian markets, and I'm going to instead put cities from Canada, Mexico, and the United States. At this time, a lot of people were pushing Michael and telling him, don't go to the United States, don't tour in the U.S., nobody cares about you there. That was a bull-faced lie. It was the media. The fans loved him. The fans were not happy that the History tour didn't come back to the U.S. since 1987. He did do some American tour dates, but it was only in Hawaii. I believe if he did major cities in the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, he would have sold out on all of them. New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Boston, Detroit, Minneapolis, you name it, Nashville, Texas, all the cities in Texas, Vegas. I think he would have had a great, I think he was sold out, and he'd done extremely well, and he would have proved the naysayers wrong, and would have definitely helped his image after the 93 allegations. The track listing, I have 12 tracks for Blood on the Dance Floor. The title track and Morphine, the first 2 stay the same, and then I would add the duet with him with Freddie Mercury that's in the vaults. I would work with Queen like they did, like MJ Estate and Queen and Freddie Mercury Estate did. I think it was in the mid to late aughts. They finally released There Must Be More to Life Than This with both vocals. So I could see them doing something like that with Queen and putting it on that album as the 3rd track. Streetwalker, Ghost, Is It Scary? And then I think for a possible alternate title track instead of Blood on the Dance Floor, On the Line. This would be the album's anthem track. I think this would be a good uplifting, feel-good song. You could use On the Line as the title track. You got Superfly Sister, the Dangerous track. If You Don't Love Me, fans love this track. The majority of the fans love this track. I don't like it. It's in bottom tier for me. I still think it sounds like a rejected boy band track, but fans love it. So we'll clean it up, put it on this album. It's still in the 90s. It's mid to late 90s, so it'll fit the timeline fine. Bad track, Fly Away. Gorgeous song. You could release this as a single. The way it sounds like when it was released on the 2001 Special Edition Bad album, sounded great. You could release it. You could have released it then. Could have been a hit. It would sound good as a late 90s release. Serious Effect is with LL Cool J and the rap and the bridge. And then to close out the album, Someone Put Your Hand Out, which was originally going to close out the Dangerous album, but then it got taken off last minute. There's footage of Michael and his producer, Bruce Sweetian, going over the track listing. And originally, Someone Put Your Hand Out was going to close out the album or be on the album somewhere. I think with that beautiful outro on that song, it closes out the album perfectly. I think it would fit really good as a outro track. You can even probably name the album Someone Put Your Hand Out, but I think On the Line or Blood on the Dance Floor as the title tracks would work just as well for that project. So that would be released same date as the original Blood on the Dance Floor. You promote that during the tour. And then following the History Tour's final show in Los Angeles of 1997, Michael begins work on his next project, which will ultimately be what was the Invincible project, which was released in October of 2001. However, that tour date, or that eventual release date, was after several delays, one of which was because of 9/11. But in our timeline, the album will be released in 2000. So after the History Tour ends in 97, that gives Michael about 2.5 years, depending on when the tour ends in 97, to get the album done. He's already started work on this album, but because Michael recorded when he was always on tour. He'd write music in his hotel room. He'd go to local recording studios and record music. He'd take his own stuff with him to record. So this album's already been worked on a little bit over the years, and now with the tour done and he's got time to rest up and get ready, he's going at it. So this album will be released in 2000, not 2001. The special edition releases of his first 4 albums that came out in 2001 will not be released like they were in the original timeline. Instead, special anniversary packages of each project will come out in due time, which we'll get into later in this video. The new album will feature 14 tracks. Michael wanted more tracks, however, was advised to stick around 14. There's tons of music from this era left to choose from, and has potential for at least 2 more albums, maybe more. But Michael agreed and decided to go with this lineup. Pretty much similar to the original Invincible project, but a lot of tracks removed. And we're going to get into here. So these are the strongest ones from the Invincible sessions. New album title, by the way. We'll get into that in a little bit. But here's the 14-track album. It'll be Unbreakable, Blue Gangsta, Break of Dawn, You Rock My World without the spoken intro. Goes straight in the song like you hear it on the radio. I think that's the perfect version. I love Chris Tucker, but that spoken intro is garbage. Heaven Can Wait, Shout, Speechless, 2,000 Watts, Butterflies, You Are My Life, Don't Walk Away, One More Chance, Whatever Happens, and Threatened. I know that towards the second half of the album, it's really heavy on ballads and love songs and breakup songs, which I think is fine. It's a nice little lull in the middle with some really good tracks, and then it kicks up a notch the last 2 tracks with Whatever Happens and Threatened. And of course, in this track listing, Whatever Happens is still the strongest track of this session, and it is the album title I would use, and I still to this day say should have been the original title track for that album in 2001. And I think even to this day, you could release Whatever Happens right now to ride the success of the Michael album or the Michael project, the biopic. You could release it right now on radio, and it'll be #1 hit. It was a great song and still is to this day. All right, so we're going to fast forward to 2004. So this will be a 4-year gap between the Whatever Happens album and this album, and this marks the Off the Wall 25 anniversary. Originally, the Ultimate Collection came out in 2004. It was a box set of greatest hits, rarities, demos, unreleased tracks, and a DVD. So in our scenario, we're not doing the Ultimate Collection yet. We're tabling it. It's going to happen, just not in 2004. We're going to recognize Off the Wall 25. It's going to be a box set. The original album for Disc 1. Disc 2 will feature demos of the original album as well as interviews with Quincy and Michael. No new songs will be featured on this package. In the original one, in 2001, special edition, there were some demos, I believe. I think there was a couple. I don't remember offhand. There was demos of Working Day and Night and Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. I don't think there was any unreleased tracks on that one. I don't think we got any Off the Wall era tracks until 2004 box set for the Ultimate Collection. So no new stuff on this one. There will be a third disc in this collection. It'll be a concert DVD, but it'll be remastered featuring Michael and his brothers during the Triumph tour, and will feature some performances from this album. Triumph came out between Off the Wall and Thriller, and Michael sang songs from Off the Wall during the Triumph album, which in my opinion is the best Jackson album of them all, and J5. Triumph is a great album. And the tour, there's some performances of Michael singing Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. I think Rock With You, he did that on tour. Working Day and Night, he sang that one. The title track, Off the Wall, She's Out of My Life. So pick one of the best Triumph tour performances, digitally remaster it, throw it on the album. There you go. There's your Off the Wall 25 anniversary package. Now we're going to go to 2006. This will be the first new album since Whatever Happens in 2000. Brand new album featuring MJ's work done from Off the Wall to post Invincible sessions. I should say for post Whatever Happens in sessions. Many of the stronger tracks are from that era, 2000 era, and onwards. Glenn Lewis recorded his own version of Michael's song Fall Again. After Michael didn't finish his, Michael recorded a demo for it but never got back around to finishing it. Worked on other stuff, and in our timeline, our real life timeline, that eventually, the Fall Again got put on the box set, The Ultimate Collection. Glenn Lewis had already recorded his, and it was on a movie soundtrack for Made in Manhattan with Julia Roberts. And then many years later online, somebody posted a duet version of Michael's version with Glenn's version, sliced them together and put it on YouTube. Beautiful, beautiful version. Go check it out. It's an actual thing. It's a gorgeous version. So in our new current timeline, or alternate life timeline, that version, Michael wanted to do it and requested his and Glenn's version to be combined into a duet. So that version that's on YouTube now will be on this album. Collab will be a smash hit. His duet with Akon would be the first single from this album, which of course would be Hold My Hand. Upon Michael's death, when they were going through his stuff by his bedside, he had papers of song titles and all that he was planning for his next project, and Hold My Hand was listed. They showed this. They actually took a picture of it and it posted it online. It's you can tell it's Michael's handwriting, and it wrote Hold My Hand to be the first single. So in our timeline for this album, Hold My Hand will be the first single. To support the album, the singles, and the select few short films Michael decides to do, Michael would do a 2.5-year residency show in Las Vegas, which would coincide with not just this album, but the upcoming Thriller 25 anniversary project will come out in 2 years' time, which we'll get into a little bit. The track listing for this album: Hold My Hand, Hollywood Tonight, Loving You. Now, this Loving You will be the contemporized version that we got on the 2014 Escape album. Now, I know this takes place in 2006, which is, if my math is correct, 8 years prior to when the Escape album came out. But we're going to get the original producer that did that one to come in here and do it, so it'll work out. That version of Loving You was beautiful, as was Love Never Felt So Good, which we'll get into in here in a little bit. But that version of Loving You, instead of Michael's version, would be on this album. I think it would be a perfect single and a great video. A Place With No Name, the original version. Rock version of She Was Loving Me, which was produced by one of his nephews from 3T. Fall Again, the duet I mentioned with Glenn Lewis. Do You Know Where Your Children Are, his 2010 version. The more rockier edge version, which was mixed, was really good. His Thriller/Dangerous era track, For All Time. Escape, the original track he worked on, and it was leaked in 2002. He worked on that for the Invincible album, and then it got left off Invincible. He wanted to release it eventually, and it got leaked, and he was pissed about it. Same with Hold My Hand. I Can't Make It Another Day, his joint with Lenny Kravitz. Best of Joy, Behind the Mask, Love Never Felt So Good. And he still does the duet with Justin Timberlake on this one. They just create their own version of it. So the vocals we heard on the actual Escape album would be to whatever Michael and Justin did together in the studio. And Slave to the Rhythm 2010 version. And this album will be Michael's version of Escape. So Escape would be the title track. It's just released in 2006 instead of 2014. Oh, we got 2 more tracks. So we have 16 tracks. Excuse me, I said 14. So it's 16 tracks. After Slave to the Rhythm, Much Too Soon. And then the album is done with We've Had Enough. And I think with everything coming up in the world and going on in the world, We've Had Enough would be the perfect track to not only release, but to close out the album. 2008, Thriller 25. So this one comes out just like the original one did. Anniversary package, the best-selling album of all time. The original album would feature on Disc 1. Disc 1 would feature the original album with one notable change. The full version of Lady in My Life finally released for the first time ever. There is a second verse that was cut to make time constraints for the album, because the original album was on vinyl and cassette, so there was no room back in those days. Now with everything digital and CD, you can do what you want. So Lady in My Life, full version on the album, cleaned up, put on the album, as it should have been. Disc 2 features demos and unreleased tracks from the original album sessions, and then the third disc is included is the DVD of the making of Thriller, and that is the making of the Thriller video, not the album itself. So the original making of Thriller, where they show all the behind the scenes stuff, the monsters getting into costume, Michael doing his choreography, Michael on set. They show this they talk to Michael and John Landis about how they met and all that stuff. So that would be digitally remastered, released in this box set. And the Disc 2 demo is similar to Thriller 40 with a few notable changes. Took some tracks out and added some in. And I changed the track listing a little bit. So here's our 12-track Disc 2. It'd be Hot Street, Got the Hots, Who Do You Know, Carousel, Behind the Mask demo, Starlight, The Toy demo, Nightline, What a Lovely Way to Go, She's Trouble, State of Shock, the demo that Michael did with Freddie Mercury. So that's the second of the 3 tracks that they did together. We already released There Must Be More to Life Than This. Now we're releasing State of Shock, because they were working on that during Thriller. And then Someone in the Dark closes out the album. Michael did that for the E.T. storybook. It would have in our lifetime, it got released on the 2001 special edition, but in our version, it gets saved for Thriller 25, and it closes out the album. Beautiful ending, just like Someone Put Your Hand Out, so we put that on here. Michael's other track with Freddie, Victory, does not make this project. In fact, I don't think I have it on any other projects I got planned later on, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. Hey guys, Future Eric here. So I went back and listened to the playback of this, and I made a major oops. I noticed during the Thriller 25 portion of this video, which you just saw, I forgot to include Sunset Driver. I must have moved it when I was moving around the tracks and stuff. I was going to put it back because I love Sunset Driver. It's like one of the best tracks from that era. So I went back and I looked, and I've changed it. So now the Thriller 25 package that we're going to release in 2008, instead of a 12-track album, disc 2, it's now 13. And I'm going to stick it between State of Shock and Someone in the Dark. So track 12 is now Sunset Driver, and then Someone in the Dark will still close out the album. So I was listening to it, I forgot Sunset Driver. How could you forget Sunset Driver? It's a great song. So, oops to me, but I fixed it. We got Sunset Driver back on the Thriller 25. Then we go to 2010. So we survived 2009. Michael didn't do This Is It. He took his time. He's taking time off. He's getting himself in the shape, staying out of trouble, staying away from grifters and all that. So Michael lived past June 25th, 2009. It's now 2010, and now comes the Ultimate Collection. He's due for another Greatest Hits package. He hasn't released one since history. He didn't release number ones. He didn't release the King of Pop Greatest Hits package. He didn't release the Ultimate Collection in 2004. So we're now 2010, and we're finally going to do it. A 5-disc box set of Michael's music from Jackson 5 to his solo works. A package along the lines of the Beatles anthology releases from the 90s. There was 3 of them. So it's got collections from the 90s. It was a collection from the 90s. So not only does this feature greatest hits, but demos from tracks from Off the Wall to Escape sessions. No new unreleased tracks in this picture and in this package, just demos and rarities. However, You Can't Win and Ease On Down the Road from The Wiz are on this package, as well as his concert performances of You Were There, his Sammy Davis Jr. Tribute, as well as Elizabeth, I Love You. We're gonna include those in this as well because they were monumental, and they're not good enough for a regular album release unless you clean them up and re-record them in the studio. But with the live cleaned up versions, you can throw them on here, and they're good. And I think they should be released. And I think the estate could still do that to this day. Release a box set of Michael's best performances, live performances, and those 2 could easily be on digitally remastered. And I think it would be great. So the 5th DVD features the 92 Bucharest concert during the Dangerous Tour. So that's the same as the original box set from before. Then we come to Bad 25, 2012. This box set features the original album, including the spoken intro for I Just Can't Stop Loving You. Disc 2 features unreleased tracks similar to the 2012 original Bad 25 with a few different changes. I took out the demos, or excuse me, the remixes that were on that listings, as well as the French version of I Just Can't Stop Loving You. I chose a few more tracks of unreleased material, but I did keep the Spanish version of I Just Can't Stop Loving You, Todo Mi Amor Eres Tu. I think between the 2 tracks, the French and the Spanish, that one's the best one. And I like it. It's a good track. So there's 12 tracks for this album. Don't Be Messing Around, I'm So Blue, Song Groove, Free, Price of Fame, Al Capone, Cheater, which originally was on the box set in 2004. It's on here now. Chicago 1945, Dream Away, We Are Here to Change the World, which was on the Ultimate Collection originally, but now it's on this. Throwing Your Life Away, and then the album closes out with the Spanish version of I Just Can't Stop Loving You. Disc 3 is the same as before. It's the live album from London, the Wembley tour, Wembley concert from the Bad tour. Disc 4 is a DVD of the Bad tour, same concert. And then a second DVD is also included in this package. And this is the digitally remastered Moonwalker movie, which has never been done to this date. And in our version, we get Moonwalker digitally remastered. I don't know if they were doing 4K yet. I don't think so. It's 2012, probably not. But it's remastered. Looks great. So that's your Bad 25 anniversary package. Then we move to 2014, brand new album featuring all new tracks. Michael's first new album of original material since 2006's Escape. 8 years in the making, Michael and company realized an all-new album was long overdue, and instead of choosing a title track, Michael and company decided a self-titled album was all that was needed. So this is the Michael living past 2009 version of the Michael album. So 2014, Michael album finally comes out. Probably a different title, or probably a different album art than what we got in the original. But we have 13 tracks on this album. Can't Get Your Weight Off Me, Faces, Seeing Voices, Heartbreaker, Ride With Me in the Back, The Lost Children, Vibrationist, Remember What I Told You, Invincible, Days in Gloucestershire, All in Your Name, the duet with Barry Gibb, and People of the World closing out the album. As you can tell, as you could just heard, there's some Invincible tracks that were originally on the original Invincible album, and then I left them off the redone version. I'm gonna put them on this album. I'm closing with People of the World. I think it's a great feel-good song, and I think that would close out the album best with all these songs. And that's the first MJ album in 8 years. So that was the Michael album in 2014. So it's kind of cool how the Michael album and the Escape album kind of flipped in our timeline, where the Escape album came first with Michael still being alive, and then the Michael album came out later with all new material, no controversial tracks and all that shit. And we go on from there. So we got another anniversary package coming up here, 2016, The Dangerous 25. And this is probably, this is one of the highly anticipated anniversary packages to date, after the successful and a very well done Bad 25 anniversary package of the 1991 album. Disc 1 features the original album. Disc 2 features demos, including a never before heard version of Give In To Me, which you can find online now. It's before Slash, which came in with guitars, I believe. And there's some other alternate lyrics, including Michael singing Life is a Donut, or Love is a Donut. The bridge has different lyrics, kinda. It sounds really good. I like that version. The original version on the original album. And, of course, his live version, which is the music video with the added crowd noise, is the best, though. But I like the alternative. It's pretty good. But anyways, besides the Give In To Me alternate version, the 1991 version of For All Time is also included in this package, as well as 5 unreleased tracks. Man in Black, Work That Body, She Got It, Lisa, It's Your Birthday, and Mind Is the Magic. And that's the full version of Mind Is the Magic. There's like a longer version of that song with a longer intro and outro. And he did that for Siegfried and Roy in Las Vegas. It's on their album. You can go hear it online. But in our timeline, Michael finally releases it on his own for that disc 2 box set. A third disc features a DVD remaster of Michael Jackson Dangerous, the short films, with a bonus feature of Michael's entire 1993 Super Bowl halftime show. On that original release, only the Heal the World part of that halftime show was featured, which is a shame because they could have easily stuck that whole Super Bowl halftime show on that VHS back in the day. Following the success of the Michael album from 2016 to current 2026, Michael would not release new full-length albums, instead choosing a selection of 4 or 5 songs and releasing them over the course of a year or two. Spotify has become a major cog in music, and he attacks, seemingly on a yearly basis. In 2018, Michael would once again do the halftime show, breaking his previous watch numbers, giving him 2 of the top 3 most watched Super Bowl halftime shows of all time. This would mark one of his final live performances, going all out, both singing and dancing. A 2020 release during COVID, on the 25th anniversary of History, would drop. History Book 2 features the original 15 tracks from 1995, with one notable change: the full version of Come Together, with complete ad-lib ending. Disc 2 features a new selection of greatest hits. So, whereas the original release 91, Disc 1 was greatest hits, Disc 2 was new stuff. In this version, Disc 1 is the original Disc 2, and Disc 2 is new greatest hits chosen from past songs that were never on greatest hits packages or weren't featured heavily. Disc 3 is a DVD featuring the Auckland, New Zealand history tour performance. I was trying to decide on what I think he would have chose for a history tour release, and everybody speaks highly of Auckland, New Zealand, so I was like, okay, I chose that one, even though in my timeline he toured the U.S. and Canada and Mexico, but I wanted to pick something, so I just did something that's actually out there and people can go watch. History tour was good, but I still say Bad was best. As far as vocal performances, Michael was miming it pretty good towards the end there of his touring days, which is a shame. So I chose Auckland as the best one from the history tour in real life. A fourth disc, a second DVD, is also provided in the box set, which features the remastered Ghost released. That is to commemorate the Blood on Dance Floor 25, which would take place 2 years later in 2022. So that is included in that package. Now we reach 2026. Michael would turn to 68 years old this year. With age, Michael has slowed down just a bit. He still performs, but now mostly relies on his vocal talent. He has retired from full touring worldwide, but he has restarted his Vegas residency on and off in a more intimate nightclub setting. Kind of like what you see in his One More Chance video, where he's performing for them in a nightclub. He would be doing something in a setting like that, something small and intimate. Mostly working on his music, his vocals, kind of like an unplugged environment, like he was going to do in 1996 when he was supposed to do the Beacon, the HBO One Night Only, and got canceled. So I could see him doing a Vegas residency in an intimate setting like that. Once in a while, though, he'll bust out the old moves, much to the delight of his fans worldwide. So that's where we finally catch up in the DeLorean, and I think you change a few things in MJ's past, fighting back against Sony on that Blood on the Dance Floor album, saying, no, remixes are a bad idea. You want to do remixes? Fine. We'll put them on single releases like they used to do in the early 90s and whatever. You want to do a remix of my songs? Fine, but we're going to put them on singles. I want full-length albums or EPs. I think Michael should have fought for it harder. He's the biggest artist on that fucking label. I think he laid down for them on that. I think he was just trying to keep the peace, even though the cracks were already starting to show. He spent way too much money on Invincible. We all know that. Then he told them, I'm not redoing my contract, and then that's when the trouble started. If they had done it right, promoted the hell out of Invincible, it would have been a major success, bigger than what it was. Sony and Michael would have been fine. The trajectory would have changed, and then just go from there. Start working on your anniversary packages here and there, because you got a ton of them that were coming up starting in 2004. worry about the box set later, release a couple new albums here and there, and spread them out. Maybe Michael releases new albums instead of doing, you know, single releases on Spotify. I mean, there's still artists releasing albums to this day, but you never know. It's all digital now, even though you can buy physical copies. So, I think this is a fun alternate reality to kind of go back and think about and, you know, kind of morph into it. I thought about going further back, avoiding the Chandlers in general, but then that would have changed the trajectory of the mid '90s with history. History was a juggernaut. Created a lot of history, no pun intended. Changed music the way it is today. I mean, we got the first single released from that album, the debut at #1. That was "You Are Not Alone." He did "Scream" with Sister Janet. If nothing happened, if the allegations of '93 never happened, I don't think "Scream" ever comes out. And they don't care about us. I think that was definitely being worked on. That was more about what was going on in the world than it was about Michael in general. Maybe the police brutality a little bit, but I think a lot of things would have changed if Michael never met the Chandlers. But that's why I chose to go from 1997 onward. At least we got rid of the Arvisos and Wade Robinson, James Safechuck, and we just went from Blood on Dance Floor to now. And in our timeline on this, Michael's still alive and kicking, and in Vegas, rocking Sin City. What did you guys think? What do you think? What are some things you think, Mike, if you could go back and get a time machine and kind of change what Michael would have done career-wise or whatever, what would you have told him to do? Would you have told him to go back to, would you go back to 1984 and told him don't do the Pepsi commercial? I definitely think if he hadn't done it, it would have saved his life. He'd still be alive to this day. That burn really fucked him up. That was an accident that could have been prevented. The other accident he had in the late '90s on the bridge during the concert, the Michael Jackson and Friends concert in Germany, when he was doing their song, it was at the top and then it came apart and dropped to the ground with him on the thing, screwed up his back, and he always had back issues from that point on. I think that was just an accident. I don't think it was unavoidable. It's a freak thing that happened, but the burn definitely did not help him, especially with his drug addictions. He's always had insomnia. He could have had better pain mediation, somebody and better handling medications than who he had in his corner could have helped him out. I think better health trainers kept him in shape. I think Michael would still be alive today if he had the right people in his circle, but we all know who was around him and what they were feeding him and what they weren't giving him and what they were hiding and what they were trying to do to him. We all know the truth. The truth is out there. We know Michael's innocent. We know Michael also, he was part of his downfall, but I think the majority of the problem was people around him. And if he had steered away from certain people, including people that claim to be in his best interests that are still around him and his family and his business to this day and in control of his stuff, I think if they weren't in charge, a lot of things have gone better, in my personal opinion. If you like this episode, hit that like button, leave a comment if you like, subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to help out with future projects or upgrades to the channel, please visit my Patreon, or you can drop something in the old Cash App. You don't have to help, but any help is greatly appreciated. Until next time, peace out, and the vlog is over.